My fellow Texans, this has been a huge session for the Pro2A community in the state of Texas. I just want to congratulate the state of Texas, all the people who put in the work to get these bills passed, and applaud Governor Abbott for making this an atmosphere where the legislators could pass these bills. He's really come out several times and said that if it comes to him, he's going to sign it. There were 7 new Pro2A bills that passed in this legislative session this year, and I'm going to have links to them, but in this video, I'm going to focus on 3 of them, HB 1927, 2622, and 957. So stay tuned to learn more. Hey guys, this is Jeff and you're on the Jeff Tack channel. Thank you for coming back. And in this video, I'm going to be talking about 1927, 2622, and 957. But before I get into those, I just want to draw your attention real quick. I have a MeWe page where I post deals and offers of 2A products. If you want to go check that out, I'll have a link in the description below. Also, this is my prop for this video. This is the Galil Ace. Stay tuned to my channel. I'll be doing a review on the new Gen 2 Galil Ace coming up soon. Working on that now. And if you haven't yet, please consider a subscription to the channel. Subscriptions are really what motivate me to continue to make this kind of content. You know, the revenue for 2A type content on YouTube is very meek at best. So if you haven't yet, please consider a subscription, and a like is always helpful as well. It helps with the algorithm. It helps promote this content to other new viewers who may not have seen this content yet. And so that also really does help the channel as well. So in this video, I'm no attorney. I studied the law back, several decades ago while I was working towards a peace officer certification, but I can read these bills just as well as you can, and I'm going to have links to all 3 of these bills in the description below, so you can go read this language and point out if you see anything that I may have gotten wrong. I'll pin those comments in the top of the comment section below. So let me know if you think I got it wrong, if you think I interpreted it incorrectly, let me know and I'll pin those comments. So getting into this, all 3 of these bills, or actually all 7 of these bills that passed this session, aren't going into effect until September 1st of 2021. So stay tuned if you're, been anxiously awaiting constitutional carry or, any of the other bills that I'm going to be discussing here real quickly. Stay tuned. They don't go into effect until September of 2021. So you've got a few months to wait still. Now, the first bill, 1927. This is one that got a lot of people out, got a lot of people into the State House, making comments and putting pressure on their senators and their House members, their state reps, and it was an important bill that passed, making Texas the 21st constitutional carry state. But there are some things that I'd like to point out to this, and I think this is an excellent first step, but this isn't the end of this bill. This bill is definitely going to need to continue to have some work done to it, and I'm going to point out a few things on why I think the license to carry in the state of Texas is not dead, and you should hang on to it. So, I called out the thanks to the many groups that did work on this. I do want to point out or highlight one person specifically. That's Rachel Malone. She works for the GOA, and she's done a lot to advocate in social media for Texas rights in the state legislative session this year. So if you don't follow Rachel Malone, you live in the state of Texas, give her a like on Instagram or Facebook. GOA Texas is also very active. But Rachel Malone has done a lot of great work. Thank you, Rachel, for the work you've done. And if you look at this picture, right, I'm going to post a picture up whichever side it shows up on. I'm going to post this picture up, right, and I want you guys to tell me if you see something that's out of place in this photo. I'll wait. Throw it in the comments section. What do you think? What do you see that looks out of place in this photo? All right, I'm back. So why is Wayne LaPierre sitting at the table with the lieutenant governor and the governor? Why is Wayne LaPierre there? Does anybody have any idea? I mean, Wayne LaPierre has been a lightning rod in the NRA, and the NRA, because of Wayne LaPierre, has been a lightning rod in the 2A community. I think Wayne LaPierre is toxic for that organization. All of the executives that are sitting at the executive level at the NRA should probably consider resigning, and the people that are empowering them to stay in this organization are really doing that organization a disservice. I just wanted to call that out real quick. It's an oddball image with him sitting there with his cheesy grin, and I think it detracts from the whole success of this effort. But anyway, so back to the bill, 1927. I think it was an excellent start. I think it's doing a lot of great things, drawing attention to the 2A community in the state of Texas, and I think if you don't want to go and get your license to carry, but you do want to carry a firearm, and you're never going to leave the state of Texas, this is a great bill. You shouldn't have to pay a fee to get access to a right, something that is inherent. We all know that. So having this on the books is a great first step for the state of Texas. However, I'm going to point out that there are reasons why you don't want to get rid of your license to carry if you have it. And if you are going to do things like travel outside of the state, or you're going to carry in specific areas, you may want to consider those keeping that license to carry so that you can still carry legally in those areas. Now, here's a graphic, which again, whichever side, this is a graphic that's going to break down some of the differences between the 30-06, 30-07 limitations to license to carry holders or long gun carriers and the new constitutional carry holders that is going to fall under 30.05. This is the 30-05. So we'll have 3 signs now, 30-05, 30-06, and 30-07. If you fall into any one of those categories, you have to be aware of the legal ramifications for each one of those. So the new signage is only going to apply to 30-05 holders or 30-05 concealed carriers, and that's or open carriers for that matter. So if you have a license to carry and you see a 30-05 sign but you don't have the 30-06 sign, it doesn't apply to you, right? So just be aware that there are some differences between the two, and I'm going to cover a couple of more. You know, in that graphic you're going to see here there are some differences, and I'm going to post a link to that graphic on my MeWe page. Again, another plug for my MeWe page. Please go check me out over there. Some of the differences that you're going to notice between the 30-05, the constitutional carry folks, and the license to carry folks and the long gun carry folks is one of the things is the right to carry, or the legal right to carry on a college campus or a university campus. So if you're a student, you're a staff member, you're a faculty member, and you want to carry while you're at school, if you don't have a license to carry, you will not be legally allowed to carry in those cases. Also, if you do any type of traveling, you know, you're an RVer, you're a motorcyclist, you're in groups and you like to do long rides, you just like to travel and see the sights and, you know, stay in other places, but you want to take your firearm with you, you're going to need a license to carry for the reciprocity that it brings with you for these other states. So for those reasons, I think the license to carry is here to stay, at least for a while. Hopefully at some point in the future we can remove those requirements and we can get this to the federal level. But I think Texas is doing a lot of good work, and some of these other bills are really pushing the envelope on the Second Amendment conversation. So the next bill that I want to talk about, and that's the 2A sanctuary bill. This is House Bill 2622. This is a good bill that talks about preventing the federal government from enforcing laws in the state of Texas. And I'm going to cover that. Prohibits enforcement of new federal gun laws in the state of Texas. So what does that mean? It prevents Texas law enforcement from assisting federal law enforcement on the enforcement of federal firearms laws or any laws that are not part of the Texas Penal Code. So Texas has adopted a lot of the federal laws in relation to regulation of firearms in the state of Texas. What this is saying is the work that's happening by the Joe Biden administration, or Nancy Pelosi, Chuck Schumer in the House or in the Senate, that if any new laws like federal red flag laws get passed, or a licensed or a requirement that you have an FFL check on any private party sales, if any of those bills pass that have been passed out of the House and eventually get through the Senate, Texas will not recognize those, and there will be no state assistance in enforcing those laws. So that's a big deal, guys. That's a big one, because it says to this federal government that you don't have power here, you can't enforce those laws here, and we now have a law on the books that conflicts with your laws. So what does this do? Well, it specifically calls out, again, a link in the description, you can read it for yourself, but it specifically calls out no registry of firearms, no requirements to possess a license as a condition of ownership, no background check for private party firearm sales, no red flag confiscation. We know that's a big one that the Joe Biden administration is pushing. I've done several videos on that. And any violation of this by a local government, a city, a county, any kind of local jurisdiction that's in violation of this will have to answer to the Texas Attorney General's office, and they'll have a process by which you can report these governmental organizations to the Texas AG so they can change their policies or their procedures or their behaviors to fall in line with this legislation. So this is another good one, guys. This is 2622. Now, last but not least, this is probably the one I'm most excited excited about because I already have a license to carry. I like the fact that we become a 2A sanctuary, you know, following some of the California immigration sanctuary. You know, Texas just followed that and used it to a brilliant advantage. I really applaud them for that. But Texas made suppressors. This is Bill 957. What this is doing is it's identifying Texas, you know, the size of Texas, the area, the square footage of Texas, the fact that we have some of the biggest cities in the United States here, and we have a lot of outdoor activities that involve firearms, hunting, and suppressors, right? So what they're doing is they're saying that if you manufacture a suppressor in the state of Texas and you never source any parts from any other state in the United States, that the NFA does not apply to those suppressors, and they'll be 100% legal as long as they never leave the state of Texas. You don't need a tax stamp. You don't need to let the federal government know you have it. You don't have to serialize it with the NFA. You don't have to do anything with the federal government. What the power of the NFA comes in, any interstate commerce between two states, that is where the federal government has power, and the Congress can write laws to regulate the commerce between two states. So what Texas has done is they said, okay, we understand that the Supreme Court's going to uphold this, so what we're going to do is, as long as it's manufactured in the state of Texas, never leaves the state of Texas, never gets parts from anywhere other than the state of Texas, that it is a 100% made in Texas suppressor. You can own that suppressor without ever getting the federal government involved whatsoever. Now, this is a big poke in the eye to the federal government, and I would be very interested to see how this one plays out in the courts. You can expect that there will be some pushback, at least initially, or at some point. I think the federal government is going to work really hard, at least initially, just because this is a poke in their eye, and you know how the government is. They don't like to be embarrassed. So we'll see this one play out. But I can tell you this, I've already seen it on social media. There are Texas-made suppressor companies. Silencer Co. has already given a wink and a nod that they're looking at this, and they may consider creating a Texas-made suppressor. And I'm sure that there are other industrious folks out there who want to get involved in this. I think you can make a living, or at least make some profit, on manufacturing suppressors in the state of Texas only, you know, with hog hunting and deer hunting and other big game hunting that occurs in Texas. All right, sorry about that. Battery died on me. You know how the technology is, right? So anyway, what I was saying was, I think there's a lot of opportunities for suppressor manufacturers in the state of Texas to make a living with the hunting and the pest control of hogs and coyotes happening at night with night vision. That I think, you know, it's good practice to use a suppressor while hunting, but it's also neighborly. If you're going to be out on people's ranches, you know, shooting firearms at 2 o'clock in the morning, using a suppressor, I think, is just good common courtesy to your neighbors, but it's also good for hearing safety and hearing protection. So this is a great first step. Texas, I'm very proud of you for getting this legislation passed. I'm very happy to see this. So any interstate manufacturer of a suppressor in the state of Texas where no parts were sourced by any other locations in the United States, except for, and they call this out, other than insignificant parts, interpretation, will not be subject to regulation, and not subject to federal regulation is called out in section 2.052 of this law. So go check it out. If you stuck with me this long, guys, I appreciate you staying with me on the video. If you think I got anything wrong, throw it in the comments section below. Let me know, and I'll pin those comments. You know, this is important information, and if you guys want to look for any updates, look in the pinned comment section below. Also, if there's anything that you think I could have gotten better, could have gotten right, or if there's any other videos you think I should be posting on, let me know in the comments section. I love hearing from you. And again, follow me on my other social media platforms. I've got all the links in the description. I'll have links to the PDFs associated with these laws that are passed. And until next time, guys, stay safe, stay vigilant, like, subscribe, share with your friends, and I'll see you next time. Stay in the fight. Bye-bye.